He is the president of the Natural Health Product Association in Canada. He is a constitutional lawyer who has been fighting for health rights for Canadians for decades, as well as the right to access to natural health products. He is also one of the leaders at the National Citizen Inquiry, which is an incredible historical documentation of the COVID response. Will there come a day when Health Canada restricts the Canadian to buy natural health products like vitamins, minerals, probiotics, herbal remedies, children's multivitamin? This is what we'll talk about with Mr. Barclay today. Hello, Mr. Barclay. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you, Caroline?
I'm fine, thank you. I saw you at the NCI. You did a very amazing, great job, and we were really grateful for what you did for the population at the NCI. And today we wanted to talk with you about what is going on, because it is really important in the industry of natural health product.
Yeah, no, we're actually at a turning point where if people don't get engaged and stop what Health Canada is doing, we will lose our natural health products, like most of the effective ones, and we'll lose those practitioners that we rely on, like our homeopathic doctors and our naturopathic doctors.
And do you think that it's more the professional line that will disappear, almost all the product?
No, I think it's the whole thing. So, and understand we do have professional lines of products, but they're licensed under the same regulations called the Natural Health Product Regulations. And what Health Canada is doing is saying, well, we don't want natural health products regulated the way they are now. We want them to be regulated the exact same way as our chemical over-the-counter drugs. So, for example, right now, I don't know what the percentage is. I mean, it might be 3/4 of our natural health products are licensed using traditional use evidence. So, not clinical trial evidence. And some traditions, like the traditional Chinese medicine practitioners or herbalists, I mean, their traditional use evidence goes back thousands and thousands of years. Surely we don't need to run a double-blind clinical trial to tell us that white willow bark is a good pain reliever. That somewhat seems a little silly. Or if we had a scurvy problem, surely we don't need double-blind clinical trials to tell us that vitamin C treats scurvy. We've got the British naval records telling us that, for crying out loud. So we are going to lose all of the products. We're still going to have vitamins on the shelves. We're still going to have minerals on the shelves. We're still going to have some products on the shelves, but we're not going to have anything like we have access to now. And they don't want products for the types of conditions for which we would seek the advice of a healthcare practitioner licensed by a province. And they've explicitly told us this when they marched across the country. So we've got a discussion paper, which actually will be released in French, like in the next couple of days, hopefully, which kind of outlines exactly what Health Canada has told us that they're going to do, including slides that we took pictures of. They've been very secretive. They haven't been putting their slides and detailed information on their website, but we took pictures of them. They're telling us that you cannot get a license for products for which you would seek the advice of a healthcare practitioner. Well, if you can't get licensed anymore for products for which these practitioners used to treat us with, they're not going to have any products. I mean, it's as simple as that. So this is part of a harmonization internationally with, kind of the World Health Organization and the whole bit. So this is kind of the end game to move us into a situation where we have no choice but to go to the medical doctor and get chemical pharmaceutical drugs. And this has been a long time in the works. It's just kind of coming to a head now.
And I heard you in a few videos and on Zoom call talking about the fact that it is a new treaty Canada is entering right now, and that will not be just applied in Canada, but around the globe. Do you know right now, is there any other countries where the regulation is applying now and the law is changing? Because this law just passed on the 22nd of June.
Well, now the one we're talking about on the 22nd of June. So this was actually Bill C-47, which is our federal budget bill. And what Health Canada did is they basically tricked us by tucking into the budget bill, where no one expects there to be changes to the regulation of natural health products. They tucked in, it was sections 500 to 504 changes that what the effect of those changes are is they give Health Canada new powers over natural health products, but most significantly, they increase the fine structure. So prior to June 22nd, the maximum fine concerning a natural health product. So let's say you were sharing truthful health information, which many companies and many practitioners do, although Health Canada doesn't want us doing that. Or let's say, you violated any part of the Act or regulations. So you might be selling a product without a license. The maximum fine you were facing was $5,000 per offense. So, let's say a naturopathic doctor had run an ad for a month, saying, hey, we're offering this treatment for this condition, this treatment for this condition, as naturopathic doctors do advertise that way. Well, Health Canada would say that ad is illegal. I mean, even though it's completely truthful, Health Canada for a product will issue a license claim. So it might, and they're usually very, very unexciting, let us say, so supports joint health. It won't say, treats arthritis, even though it does, or supports mental health and well-being when, this product kicks butt on, curing anxiety and other issues type thing. So Health Canada would view that as non-compliant. So let's say they ran that ad for a month. Well, before July 22nd, you might be charged with one offense for the entire month, and your maximum fine is $5,000. Well, now the maximum fine is $5 million for every single day you're a non-compliant. So you run a month ad, that's 5 million times 30. And every employee, officer, director they're all liable. Anyone who had anything to do with it, or even acquiesces, whatever that means in this type of context. But that's the language that now applies. So that's the June 22nd one. But you were talking about internationally, and so your viewers should know that Canada and several other countries have been involved in amending the international health regulations at the World Health Organization in some amazing ways. So there was text in there that would give individuals rights over their own body and personal sovereignty. That type of language is being taken out, and they're coming up with a One Health initiative where animals have the same rights as humans, and bacteria has the same right as humans, and plants have the same right as humans. So when they say One Health, they mean this planetary health, which is somewhat curious because they seem to be suggesting there's too many of us on the planet, meaning humans. And if we're looking for planetary health, what are the consequences of that? But they're negotiating, they're not calling it a treaty, but they're negotiating what will be a binding agreement so that if the World Health Organization declares a pandemic, and remember, they declared a pandemic not long ago on monkeypox, and Canada just ignored it because we didn't view monkeypox as something that we needed to be concerned with. But after this agreement, if it goes through, which really is a treaty, they're not calling a treaty, then if the World Health Organization declares a pandemic, as they recently did over monkeypox, then Canada would lose its sovereignty. Canada would lose its right to decide how to handle this pandemic declared by the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization would dictate right down into the provincial level as to how the health crisis will be dealt with. And, to me, that's crazy because you can't tell me that Canada and, provinces like Quebec, I live in Alberta, I mean, the provinces and the nation itself has the expertise to figure out how to handle a pandemic. So why would we give our sovereignty away to the World Health Organization? If we maintain the right to decide how we're going to deal with a pandemic declared by the World Health Organization, it doesn't mean that we wouldn't agree with them and follow what their suggestions are. But the idea that we wouldn't even have the right to disagree is quite fantastic. And so that's what that is about. And what we find ourselves in with these natural health products is we're basically moving to where we don't have any other options. The World Health Organization is not going to suggest to anyone that, we increase our vitamin D and zinc intake or, do anything else. They're going to suggest that we take a vaccine or other chemical drug. So this is quite alarming. This is quite alarming. I don't think we've ever faced, well, we haven't. We've never faced such an attack on our natural health products as we're facing with this. They're literally going to impose chemical drug style regulations, right down to requiring the double-blind clinical trials and the like. And the industry just won't survive. And the whole thing is going to cause a lot of death and suffering. And I'm willing to give you an example if you want.
Yes, you can give an example.
Yeah, because I think it's important for people to appreciate that, Health Canada will be saying, oh, these products are risky. These products are risky. So you need, stricter regulations to protect you. Well, it might be helpful for your viewers to know that you are 14 times more likely to be struck by lightning than you are to be killed by a natural health product. And not one of us would give up a single right, and definitely not, our right to decide how we're going to treat ourselves when we're ill. We would not give up a single right that we have to protect ourselves from lightning. And yet lightning is 14 times more dangerous to us than the entire natural health product industry. And 14 times, I mean, that's such a significant factor. It's not even fair to compare the two risks. But I wanted to share how I got involved in natural health product regulation, because it kind of shares how there's a danger to taking products away. So I got involved in this. Actually, there was a herbalist suing Health Canada because Health Canada basically stole his herbs. He was importing herbs. Health Canada is trying to shut him down, and Health Canada seizes his herbs, and he's suing Health Canada. And I ended up representing Health Canada in court. So I'm acting for Health Canada, defending Health Canada against this herbalist. And Health Canada was telling me, this herbalist's name was Jim Strauss, and he was selling heart drops, claiming that he could cure heart disease. And this is why Health Canada was trying to shut him down. And Health Canada was telling me, look, this is dangerous. This guy's selling an unapproved product. Let's ignore that you couldn't get approval back then. The whole industry was unregulated. But he's selling an unapproved product for a serious health condition. I mean, some people might delay treatment and die. Like, this is just awful and horrible. And I believed them. I was wrong, but I believed them. Now, a year later, I've got my own firm, and Health Canada, in another attempt to shut this guy down, convinces the College of Physicians of British Columbia to charge him with practicing medicine without a license, because the act that gave doctors their medical monopoly in British Columbia said only doctors can make health claims, and he's making a health claim, and he hires me. Well, on the facts, we have no defense. He's not a doctor. He's making health claims, and the act says he can't do this. So I decided to attack the act. So I let the Crown and the court know that I would be asking the court to strike down that part of the legislation for violating our constitutional right in Section 2B of the Charter of freedom of expression. Now, I wanted to show the court that he was telling the truth. Because if the court believes that what he's doing is dangerous, that this doesn't work, and people will be delayed, getting treatment. If they basically bought Health Canada's narrative, the judge isn't going to want to strike the law down. But if he's telling the truth, the judge, will want to strike the law down. So I asked Jim, and understand, he just had a little herb shop. There's no way we had any clinical trial evidence. But I go to his shop and I ask Jim, I say, Jim, is there any way we can show you're telling the truth? Aside from his own personal story, which I'll share if we have time. And he thinks for a minute, and just hang on a second. He walks to the back and he starts bringing me out boxes. And I think it was 3 boxes. It might have been 5. It was 3 or 5. And they're just filled with letters. And I take the letters back to my office and I read every one. And so they're all the same. So we've got thousands of letters. And they're all saying I had heart disease, I was sick, I was dying, I took your heart drops, I got well. Thank you, God bless you. I cannot use those letters in court. That's what we call hearsay evidence. But I can call the authors of those letters. So I started phoning these people. And on the day of trial, I had 5 middle-class professionals, which I picked just because the judge is a middle-class professional. So credibility, middle-class professionals, the judge is going to pay attention to. So 5 middle-class professionals, they had all had heart disease. They had all had at least 1 open heart bypass surgery. One had had 2. They all continued to have heart disease because the reason their arteries were plugging up was not being addressed. They all needed another open heart bypass surgery to survive. And 2 of them were too weak to survive the surgery. So the doctors basically said, well, go home and die because we can't ethically give you a surgery that's going to kill you. And the other 3 weren't willing to go through the surgery again because it was so invasive and so hard to recover from that if they were only going to get another year or 2 of life, they weren't willing to go through that. So for them, the medical system, the approved treatments that Health Canada would want them to take, that's a dead end. So they all come across these heart drops. They all get well. They're all working full time. They're all working full time at the time of trial, and they had been disabled for years. One of them had been disabled for 10 years, unable to work, and they're all working full time at trial. And so that was kind of my conversion experience. It's like, no, the Health Canada narrative is false. They thought it was dangerous that he would be selling an unapproved product. Well, what was dangerous was the idea that you couldn't let consenting adults decide to try a treatment that Health Canada didn't approve. And I could have given you the names, addresses, and phone numbers. This is back in 1995, 1996. But back then I could have given you the phone numbers and names of thousands of Canadians, thousands who are only alive because of these heart drops, like a single natural health product. I had a court case where, I was calling witnesses, explaining all the deaths that was caused by Health Canada by restricting a product for a short period of time. I had the president of the Canadian Mental Health Association, Alberta branch, Ron Lajeunesse, testifying that every time there was a death, he'd hold a press conference to try and shame Health Canada. Like, this is life and death. So here we have products that are safer than, you're more at risk from lightning than ever being killed by a natural health product. And yet we rely on them for our lives. And I mean, I'm just talking life and death, but your viewers will know, and you'll get feedback on this. Like, there are people, a large number of people out there managing serious health conditions, like where they have quality of life solely because of natural products, and they will have tried all the chemical drugs and they didn't work, and now they're getting relief with natural health products. So it's a really serious issue.
Yeah, it is my case as well, because I had fibromyalgia for 9 years, and after seeing 15 specialists in the allopathic medicine, I decided to go on my way by myself to learn more how the body works and what to do when it's not working. And I have been starting a natural health product when I was passing 50% of my time in bed. I was so sick. I was really, really bad, in a bad situation, and it took me out of the bed really fast. Anyway, I would like to know after how that will affect the practitioner, the doctor, naturopath, etc., and why they should stand up with you.
Okay, so they're going to lose the products that they use to treat us. And there's several ways they're going to lose the products. So, and again, this is just part of this self-care framework. And so there's a whole bunch of things that are happening that collectively are going to just ruin the industry. So the one is cost recovery. So right now, Health Canada is saying that they're going to impose the fees that they charge the chemical drugs companies for, getting site licenses and product licenses. So if you're manufacturing, you have to pay like 30 grand a year just for each building that you manufacture in, for example. Like the fees are quite large just for the right to manufacture or, warehouse or label. So, and then also there's product license fees, even yearly ones after you've gotten through the approval process. So they're going to pose these fees on us. Well, that's going to drive some of the companies out of business, and then the products will be gone. And it'll reduce the number of licensed products because some companies are not going to go through this new licensing process for products for which, people rely on, but it's a small number of people that rely on. And now that products become uneconomic. So they're also then increasing the regulatory burden, and dramatically. Like this is doubling and tripling and quadrupling the amount of effort you have to take for Health Canada to say you're complying, right down to now there'll be inspectors coming even before they'll license a product, like brand new things that we've just never had to worry about. So Health Canada is saying we're going to use these fees that we're collecting to create a whole new group of Health Canada police to go and make sure that you're complying and to censor truthful health information. So Health Canada does not want people sharing truthful health information, and they're going to go out into the marketplace and now use these $5 million a day fines to force compliance. But the new regulatory burden will add costs, and we're going to lose manufacturers who, no longer can afford to stay into business. We're then going to, when we fully harmonize and cannot use traditional use evidence anymore to get a license, well, all those products are going to be gone that currently rely on traditional use evidence. And a lot of those, especially, for traditional Chinese practitioners and herbalists, that's most of their products. So, and then, when we're fully harmonized, and this licensing scheme is not even to be used for the types of things you would seek a naturopathic doctor or homeopathic doctor or any other healthcare practitioner for, well, these products won't be licensed at all. They'll be fully illegal. And I've heard, I've been on calls with practitioners, and they said, oh, well, we'll just set up illegal networks. We'll just go underground and hide this from Health Canada. Well, no, you won't. The fines have gone from $5,000 an offense to $5 million per day. They'll destroy you. And, so that you won't. So it's just kind of like we're in a cage and they're closing the door and just saying no. So it's going to, I think the biggest effect is going to be on our healthcare practitioners who no longer will have these products and who no longer will be able to truthfully advertise about the products that remain.
And now if we talk about the action that people can do, you are about to start a campaign, if it's not started right now. And I would like to hear you on how people can become member of the NHPPA, how they can support you, and why you invite people of the company the manufacturer to support you, where we are going now.
Yes. Okay. So, and I'll also just say, with all these costs being imposed, prices are going to go up. And that's not going to help the consumer because right now, people that are disadvantaged economically, they already can't afford these products. But it's going to be that they're just going to become more and more expensive. But I work with an organization. It's a federally incorporated nonprofit called the Natural Health Product Protection Association. So the website is www.nhppa.org. We have a contact button there, and we'd like you to subscribe to our newsletter so that, when we send that out, what's going on. But we do have a campaign right now, a letter writing campaign and Meet Your MP campaign to be getting you to educate the MPs and letting them know you're upset about this and want changes. But we're going to have campaign after campaign after campaign. And I appreciate that your audience is French speaking. And, right now you go to the NHPP website and it's not, but we're going to get everything into French, and we're going to have a French social media team and everything. We'll need a whole Quebec contingent, just working within Quebec, within the Quebec culture, because I don't know if people in Quebec understand how much weight they carry in the federal government, like more than any other province, more than Ontario. Quebec, if you don't have Quebec basically supporting you on the federal scene, you are not going to form the government. And so Quebec is actually the key province. And so we need Quebec to get super involved and, basically on side with people taking personal responsibility for making sure this doesn't happen.
So people can support you financially. We strongly invite people who are in the audience to support the NHPPA because that is the way to go. These are really serious people. They did an amazing job with the NCI. And please, Mr. Buckley, I would like to hear you to end this interview on any message of hope that you have for the public, and if you can talk about the spiritual level of what we are facing. I know that you have the vision to see it.
Well, I mean, this truly is a federal thing, and I don't know if Quebec is experiencing anything like British Columbia is, but British Columbia is now regulating their healthcare practitioners where, if the government says you can't use a treatment, or, you have to say this or this or this about a condition, and definitely you have to get this vaccine and that vaccine personally, and you'll be professionally disciplined if you disagree with any public health things. Like basically the doctor or practitioner client relationship is being totally interfered with. And here we're on the federal front with the federal government in a situation where they're then taking away a whole bunch of practitioners from us, because if you take away the natural health products, you take away the natural health practitioners. So we're also losing on that front. Like it seems that the provinces, they're the ones that regulate the healthcare practitioners, but the federal government is using their criminal law power to basically take away the treatments. And so if you take away the treatments that practitioners use, then you take away the practitioners. So it's kind of the federal government's way where they don't have jurisdiction over health, but they're interfering with health, and they're interfering with our rights to choose. Like we are the ones that experience sickness in our bodies. We are the ones that have the health experience. I don't know about you, Caroline, but I have, from time to time been in so much pain that I have understood, when you hear of people that suffer chronically, then they say, they become suicidal. They don't want to continue to suffer the way they're suffering. I've understood that from time to time. And I'm very thankful that I have not had a long-term chronic illness, but our suffering is all very personal. And the idea that the federal government can tell us, oh, there's this whole area that you rely on now for your health that is going to be taken away from you. This is terribly offensive.
Yes, I have been in that space where you would prefer to kill yourself than live with the pain. So I understand what you're talking about. So is there anything that you would like to add? You will be in at a special event on the 26th of July in Toronto. So would you like to talk about what will be going on?
Well, yeah, and in fact, so if anyone wants to go, so that event is being promoted by Bright Light News. So they're just, I believe, brightlightnews.ca, but they might be .com. But if you just, Google Bright Light News, and it's on July 26th, there are a bunch of speakers. So we've got Dr. William Macus, and so he's the doctor. I don't know if you know about him in Quebec, but he has been kind of publishing all through COVID sudden deaths of doctors within Canada. And there's just been a large number where, in a normal year before the COVID vaccines, we wouldn't have doctors just dropping dead for no reason, and especially young doctors. But after the vaccines, we have, and he's been cataloging that and has a lot of interesting things to say. There's Dr. Christopher Hinkson is going to be there. Dr. Julie Piness, who's an ethics expert who got dismissed from a university during COVID. She's going to be there, and I'm going to be there. So, and then some other experts are going to be joining on a roundtable discussion afterwards. I think we have Dr. Mark Trozzi. So it's going to be a pretty exciting event in Toronto on July 26th. And I know there's still tickets, and you can also get online tickets. So I'd encourage everyone to go to Bright Light News and to basically participate in that event.
Yeah, I think that people can see also all the information on the website of the nhppa.org.
Yes.
We thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Barkley, and you're invited at Lux Media at any time when you want to share a message. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. We so appreciate what you do, because it's people like you that get the word out and make a difference. And so you're an example of somebody who is taking personal responsibility to try and make this a better place.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right? Bye.